All right, welcome back to the Controvert podcast. My name is Panda, and today we're going to be talking about saving face or your reputation while dating in the Asian culture or dating as Asians. So I'm joined with my co-host.
Yo, what's up, y'all? I'm your co-host, Dalen. And about the saving face thing, like, in Asian culture, I feel like, for me personally, when I was growing up, when my parents got divorced, they would always, like, try to make it hush-hush, you know? They're like, oh, don't tell anyone we got divorced or something like that. I feel like, do you feel like that's prevalent in Asian culture, like, where we try to save face or, like, the family's name or reputation? We try to not tarnish that or, like, you know, like, try to keep everything kind of secretive?
Yeah, I think in general, like, divorces are quiet, but I think for Asians, I think it's a lot more. It's like, because we have, like, look at Japanese, right? They're like, it's kind of bad to say.
Talking about the anime Japanese or Japanese?
Okay, it's like, for example, like Japanese, right? Remember in the war, like, it's also depicted in movies, so I'm not trying to be like racist or anything. But when they feel like they brought dishonor to, like, the army or whatever, they just stab themselves in the gut and they kill themselves, right? Yeah. So I think, like, Asians, we look at honor and, like, these morals a lot more than, like, any other race out there. And there's, like, these creeds that we have to strongly abide by. So I do think that does relate to why Asians would, like, not want to reveal that they're divorced or anything. They keep it hush hush. It's kind of weird because lately I've been coming across, like, some divorced Chinese girls.
I feel like,
and they would celebrate that they got divorced and they would throw parties.
Like, I feel like the Western culture, they're like, oh, like, you're finally out of that toxic relationship or that toxic marriage, you know, let's celebrate, you know, you got divorced. I'm like, is this something to celebrate?
But
like,
these are girls from China, like, straight from China.
Like fob girls?
I'm talking about fob girls.
Oh,
like
shoot.
abroad girls. Not like girls who were born and raised here.
Yeah.
And then they're getting influenced by Americans.
So back motherland, China.
Yeah, they're getting influenced to a point where it's just like, yeah, let's celebrate. Or maybe it's not even influenced by American ideals. They're just, like, degaff about shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's funny that you mentioned this about, like, keeping these, like, very hush-hush. Because when I'm just dating, like, a girl, right? For example, if I'm dating a girl that my dad doesn't really think is qualifiable to his standards, he's just like, I would feel pressure. I'd be like, I don't know if I can introduce this girl, you know? So I would keep it hush hush and drag it out for a really long time until, like, my parents are like, hey, who's this girl that's coming over? Like, just tell us. I'd have to, like, build up to it, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, I can't really tell you because you wouldn't approve. And they'll be they'll just be like, oh, you know,
That'll get them
you can tell us.
even more.
That'll get them more intrigued.
Yeah,
and
they're like,
accepting.
oh, what? Yeah.
Because you've built up this, I guess, suspense that they're just like, just tell us, you know? And then so I think there's kind of, like, ways that we have to tiptoe around when we don't get our parents' approval, right? I think you had a question about that, right?
Yeah. There was this one time where I had this girl come over and then I was sneaking her up into my bedroom and my parents saw and then they didn't say hi. And then I was just like, hey, it's okay, you know, you don't need to say hi because...
Because you're embarrassed?
No, not because I was embarrassed, but because, like, you know, it's not up to their standards. Or, you know, like, you know, like...
Okay, so you're embarrassed. You're just like, all right, they're not going to improve. Or your father's not going to approve. Yeah. That happens to me, you know, like, saving face, right, on this topic. It's just like, we want to, like, keep things secret if we feel like our Asian parents are not going to approve. So, even, like, relationships, I think that's one of your questions too that you're going to ask me, about if you're with a girl and this girl is not up to your dad's or your parents' standards, but you still want to be with her, right? Would you just keep that shit, like, low key and still be with her? Like, you pretty much keep the relationship, like, secret, ideally.
Yeah, would that be like saving face though? Like, because you're technically like going behind their back, and like.
It's saving face, yeah, because it's like you're keeping a secret to save face because you're
Uh-huh.
scared of what they would think about you,
Uh-huh.
so that you just go like, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna keep this low key, and even if they find out about it,
Has that ever happened to you? Where?
yeah, that's happened to me. I had this girl I really liked. It was like probably like the girlfriend of my dreams, but then
Uh-huh.
not approvable by my dad just because of like status issues. Parents, didn't come from a good background. She didn't have a good upbringing. Had some debt issues too. It was actually not really ideal now that I think about it. It was really f***ed. And so my dad just out of his own care was like, yeah, you gotta get rid of this chick. And then I couldn't bring myself to it because of my feelings for her.
Uh-huh.
And so I still kept being in this relationship with her. And I was just like, dude, what am I doing? I have to.
Because you're trying to save face for your father, basically.
Yeah,
And then-
because I feel like the biggest disgrace for an Asian kid, an Asian male,
Uh-huh.
is when your father goes like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you with this chick? Why are you still with her when I told you to let go of her?
I feel that.
I think that's the most disgrace you can give to your father as an Asian man.
Yeah, because I feel like just like from my parent, my Asian dad, like he doesn't talk at all. So if like he says something and it's like regarding a girl and he doesn't like about it, like that really bothered him, for him to actually speak up about it. I'm just like, oh shoot.
Really? You had a situation like that? I thought you said that your dad
No,
in
no,
like
no.
another podcast you said
Yeah, no, that situation hasn't come up where he told me, but I feel like sometimes like I sense that like he's annoyed, about some
and just
stuff.
being annoyed, that puts a lot of pressure already.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, but back to like my story about this, like I was just like, I felt like a big disgrace because there's times even before, like that wasn't the only time. There's times where I did the same thing, and then simp times when I was incel, whatever bullshit. He told me he didn't want me to be with this chick, blah blah blah. Other reasons, right? And then I just like didn't listen, and then he just thought like I was simp as fuck, and just that feeling of your dad thinking you're a simp and you're not a real man.
Dude, that kind of like
That you have
drives
no
you, right?
balls?
Or like
Anytime
make you feel?
your Asian father thinks you have no balls, and I think it's the worst when it comes to a girl. When it comes to a girl, he's like, dude, you're simp for the wrong girl. What the f are you doing? You're not a man. You're not a man because you can't let go of this girl.
that
And he
just
actually
creates a
says that.
fire inside you, huh?
It creates like resentment. It creates like disgrace for myself. Like
Resentment,
I'm like,
like
what am I-
towards.
to my dad, because I'm like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, he doesn't understand. But it's like a mix of everything, a plethora of feelings, and you're just like, man, I'm a fucking loser at that point.
Because like I feel like there's two ways you could approach it. You could be either I'm a loser or I'm gonna prove him wrong.
It's both.
Yeah,
It's
like
both.
I'm gonna
So-
try my hardest to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
Even
So-
though I'm a loser. Type of
Yeah,
thing.
that's a good point, because I would be like, you know what, like this relationship, just because she has a bad upbringing, it's still gonna work out. In the end, he was right. In the end, he was right to a point where it's like, you know what, her upbringing affects her ability to think right, because like there's certain things that, if say for example you come from high status, right, you date a girl that comes from low status, she has certain thought processes of chasing money. She probably thinks, I need to work really hard and do slave work to get money. But then your thought process is like, how can I maximize efficiency to build residual income so that I could get as much income possible without doing as much work? But then you would have someone who's like dragging you down, where it's like, I need to work really hard and spend a lot of time dedicating this much time.
And it's not because they don't love you or like you. It's because they don't understand that concept, or they haven't been like
Correct.
learned that concept yet.
Yeah. So if you come from good upbringing, like you would be taught like work smart. Whereas if you come from a bad upbringing, you would be taught to work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that phrase, work smart,
Not hard.
not hard, right? But then there's also sometimes you hear the phrase play hard, work hard, play hard.
Oh. Okay.
So it's either one or the other, work smart or work hard, right? So I don't know. I mean, you definitely need both to be successful. But then if you just prioritize working hard, you're not really going to get anywhere, because you could be working hard at Burger King. Remember that one video we talked about with like
the Caesars guy?
Was it pizza? Caesar's Pizza.
Yeah.
And then he worked, just
how
just
long?
talk
30,
about-
40 years? And then talked about like he was working there 30, 40 years, saved up all his money, and he was finally able to start his own franchise. But he doesn't even have a house.
Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah.
And so you could have someone who's working at Little Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
Was it called Little Caesars or Caesar's Pizza? I forget.
I think Little
right?
Caesars.
Yeah, it's called Little Caesars. And he's working there for like 20,
30 years, yeah.
But you could be having someone who works that hard for so long, never maximizes income potential. So that's the thing. Like, you could have different upbringings, and based on that, you could have someone who pulls you down because of that. That's why Asian parents are like, date someone within your status. I know we kind of trailed from
but
like
there's
this.
also we also trail from that. But then there's also the part of self-development where you can maybe overcome these like situations by yourself. Like, even though you come from a bad family, if you like work on yourself, maybe there might be
you can't do that if you're working at Little Caesar the rest of your life.
That's a bad example, from Little Caesars.
But going back to this whole like saving face thing, like there's been a lot of times, bro, like where I was just like, like I'm just gonna keep going into this and then just like hide it and then just like act like, and that's another thing. I acted like I was so chill, like I acted like I actually didn't like this chick that much
To your dad.
to my dad, and then that's like another way of like saving face too, because it's like you pretend that you don't like this person that much,
So it makes him feel like more comfortable or better.
yeah. So then he's like, oh, like my son's not a bitch boy.
Yeah. There was a couple of times where like for me, like as a family, like not dating, but like when families tries to save face, like have you ever gotten like in trouble and your family's like, oh, like let's just keep it hush hush, like no one needs to know about like you getting in trouble, like, trying to save face, you know what I mean? I was a naughty boy back then, so like they're like trying to hide everything I did. They're like, he didn't do this, he didn't do that,
It's like the Asian parents are only talking about the good things, and then the ones with like the shitty kids, like me, I was a shitty kid. They'd be like quiet, they'd be like listening,
just be
and then they would come home with all this resentment and internalized buildup of like, man, my kid is a fucking failure, and come out and lash out on me like, why can't you do this better? I can't even fucking be confidently talking about you and bragging about you to my friends.
That's the thing though. Asian parents, they just want something to brag about. Like, just want to brag about their kids. That's like how they like socialize. I feel like that's how like, and I feel like you don't have to necessarily like, your kid doesn't necessarily have to be going to like these top Ivy school leagues for you to brag about them.
Yeah. But do you feel like as time progressed, like as we get older, right, like they're not really in these social settings of like elementary school. They don't go like open house day in middle school. They don't go to like high school and talk to like the counselor, because they're not in these social settings anymore. They probably, as they get older, they're just stay close to like themselves, and they don't have people brag to anymore, so they don't have that pressure on you as much, right?
No, I do notice that.
Or maybe it's just my parents.
No, I think it's because as we're getting older, our parents are getting older as well, and I feel like that
they're out of that social circle, right? Yeah. But when we were kids, it was a lot harder. It was like they would be coming home like, what the man, you're a disgrace.
Oh, your friend Derek or blah 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 is doing blah blah. I'm like, what?
Now they don't say that shit anymore.
Yeah. It's way chill now. Yeah. I would consider like maybe I try to save my own face, type of like hiding my own like family baggage. I would try to like just try to save face by avoiding it, like not talking about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, oh, like
that's like saving face to like other people though, like not to your parents, right?
Yeah, not to my parents.
I mean, I guess as Asians, do we really save face to like people we're dating, or do we just like I don't know. I think
Or it depends on like if you're Asian and are you dating another Asian, or Asians dating like other ethnicities?
I feel like Asian girls that I date, like they hide that shit. They're so strategic. They're like, one time I got lied to about like, oh yeah, my parents are together, and then like as time progressed, we got in an argument, and she's like, yeah, this is why my mom wants me to have a title with you because they don't have a title. I was like, wait, what? Did you say your parents were together? And she's like, no, my mom told me growing up I can't talk to anyone about this. I have to lie. And I was like,
oh,
what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I was like scratching my head. Should I be mad about this or should I be like sympathizing her with her? But that's another thing because like I feel like Asians they teach their kids how to be strategic. They're like, you have to act like you're broke or else people will take advantage of you. You have to say this. You can't ever tell people your parents divorced because it's really shameful to the outside public. So the Asian parents are saving their own face and creating this generational trauma to their kids, bro. Fucking insane, bro.
Dude,
when you think about that,
you hit the
bro,
spot,
when you think about that, that's fucking mind blowing, bro.
Oh, no wonder I'm so messed up.
We're laughing about that shit, dude. That's some sad shit to be laughing about.
I laugh my pain away.
Oh my god. Everyone can probably see your pain, like having divorced parents, but yeah. Dude.
But I mean, it's like more than half of America now, right? Like the divorce rates. It's like more than like 50%, I think, or almost close to half. It's crazy nowadays.
Yeah, dude. It's very common. So I mean. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, dude, it says over here that approximately 40 or 50% of marriages in the U.S. end in a divorce. So, yeah, I mean, I do think that it becomes more common, but then Asians are still like, no, we can't talk about this. And then anything bad that happens to the kid, they're like, we can't talk about this. So,
yeah. Like for me, like trying to keep saving face, like I think it just causes more generational trauma because there's no explanation when you're saving face.
Like you're not really talking about it.
Yeah, you kind of just push it over and act like nothing happened. You try to move on with your life like nothing happened. And you're like, it's such a big thing that happened, you know?
You think that's why like Asians, like we have trouble, especially like just Asians in general, Asian Americans or Asians abroad, we have trouble connecting with our parents, whereas like white people, they can be super chill and like buddy
friends, like they're friends. And I'm just like,
but then with us, because Asians are so strategic with everything and saving face and reputation, whatever bullshit, that we are looked through a microscope that we can't even talk naturally with our parents.
Yeah. Because they're afraid of being judged or like, like standards.
Or just like breaking or going against like what our parents told us not to do. Like there's so many of these rules. But yeah, talking about the saving face thing, it's also like gotten me to think that it's actually pretty bad. And, just me talking about the whole generational trauma, that's a crazy thing I just pointed out because I was like just talking out of my ass and I just thought of that all of a sudden. But yeah, that like we were just like making this video intended to just be something where it's like, oh, okay, like these are things that we noticed. But now it's like to have like a motif or a theme about this or a conclusion, it's kind of bad, if you think about it, because you build this generational trauma and you're not completely transparent. And when you have that opaqueness between you and like your parent, or your parent has that with you, then you build a wall in between. And when you have that wall in between, you could have harder and harsher communication with each other. So I think it's important that we look at this and really take note of this a little bit more, because it could be just bad in general. But let's wrap it up here. If you guys have any comments about like saving face in terms of Asian dating, leave us a comment below and we'll see you guys next time on the Controvert podcast. Peace out, guys.